Hey beautiful and welcome to another episode. I'm your host Pauliina Xenia and I am your favorite love hypnotist. Today I want to share with you a super exciting success story from one of my clients who was able to get rid of the third party and get back together with the love of her life with her specific person. She actually joined the program Get Rid of the Other Woman or Man, which is all about third party removal. So we're really focusing on eliminating third parties for good so that you never have to deal with this kind of situation again. Now, when I talk about third parties, I mean another person, another human being that is somehow standing in between you and your specific person. It may be someone that your specific person is seeing or committed to. I know that this is gonna be a really exciting episode for so many of you because not only are you gonna get the behind the scenes of how my client was actually able to remove the third party and get back together with her specific person, but I also know that so many of you want to hear more success stories because I constantly get DMs like, can you share more success stories? And I'm like, yes, I can, but to be honest, I have just been so lazy. And sometimes it feels a little bit overwhelming when I open my DMs on Instagram and there are just so many success stories. I love getting them and I love celebrating with you. I'm just doing my happy dance in my own apartment whenever I open those DMs, and I am so happy for you because this is what I live for. Like, I live for these exact moments where I help you get the things that you want in love and life. But then when it comes to sharing these success stories and when it comes to putting them on my sales pages, that has been the overwhelming part for me here. And I can admit it that it's probably because I haven't had a proper system for collecting all of those success stories and then keeping them in one place. So that definitely needs to change. But for now, if you ever want to hear more success stories, because I know that I don't have so many on my sales page, please just reach out to me and I can share some behind the scenes. Okay, so back to the success story. This client had been dealing with a third party situation for 2 years. Like, she wasn't new to manifestation. She had been binge watching a lot of manifestation content, especially on YouTube previously, and she had been trying to get rid of the third party on her own. And she saw some glimpses of what it was that she wanted. Like, she would start seeing some movement with her specific person, and then it seemed like the third party was gone, that the third party had left the picture, and then out of the blue, the third party was there again. So there was a lot of back and forth for over a year. And so it was like she was in contact with her specific person during this time, but her specific person had this other woman that he was seeing as well. And sometimes she would go weeks or even months without hearing from her specific person, and then there were some weeks where her specific person was really hot and like constantly sending her messages, reaching out to her and wanting to see her. So they had like these on and off periods where there were some periods where her specific person was more in her life and they were seeing each other more frequently, and then again her specific person pulled away and probably went on with this third party instead of her and like saw this third party more, and that's why she did not hear from him. And it was like this constant on and off thing where she would decide to really show up for herself on a day-to-day basis no matter what, and she was focusing on herself, focusing on feeling good about herself and doing things on a daily basis that really light her up. She was also doing some inner work, so she was changing her self-concept and the beliefs about herself so that she started seeing herself in a new light, and so she felt amazing. And that's when her specific person always reached out. That's when he came back in and he was super hot, like he constantly wanted to see her. He was pursuing her every day and prioritizing spending time together with her. And this could go on for a couple of weeks until then he just vanished again. And at first she was frustrated when she hadn't heard from him again, and she would build herself up, start prioritizing herself again and feel good about herself on a daily basis. So it was almost as she pulled back her energy. She started focusing just on herself, and that's when her specific person yet again came back in. And because of her self concept, because she felt so good about herself, she was treated like a goddess everywhere she went. Like other men wanted to chase her, court her, and they were treating her with so much love and respect. But the thing was that she only wanted her specific person and she just didn't understand why he couldn't commit to her. And she's mentioning here that it was a really frustrating place to be in, where she was like, should I just give up on him because being in this situation is way too painful? But that deep connection that they had shared and all of the positive aspects that she had seen in him that she just had not found anywhere else, that is really what kept her going. And this was the moment when she joined the program, because she was like, fuck it, I am worth more than this. I deserve to be the only woman that a man chooses, and I deserve my dream relationship. She was like, I am done settling for less than that. I am done having to compete with another woman and sharing the love of my life with someone else. And so she was diving into the training inside the program, and then it just clicked for her. And she shared with me afterwards that she now understands why she had seen hot and cold movement, where she got what she wanted for a couple of weeks and it looked like things were going in the right direction, and then her specific person pulled away again. Previously, she had been trying to ignore the circumstance and ignore the third party altogether, and she had been working on changing the story about the third party so that she would feel better. And I always tell you that circumstances do not matter. Like how your 3D reality looks like today does not matter at all. But if you want to change those circumstances, you cannot just ignore them. You have to do the quote unquote pre-work first. And this is like the missing piece for so many people in the online space that I see are manifesting their specific person back, but then they're dealing with a third party situation and they have been in this same place for years, wondering why that third party is still in the picture, even if they have been trying to ignore that third party and pretend that that woman or that man does not even exist. And it's really because all of that resistance that they have not cleared. Because yes, circumstances do not matter, but a third party situation is not just another circumstance that you can just ignore. That you can just stick your head in the sand and pretend that it's not even there and then it's gonna change. Like it just doesn't work that way when it comes to third party situations, and the reason is because there's so much resistance. Because while we're trying not to focus on the third party, we're trying not to focus on the things that we no longer want to see, and we're instead trying to only focus on the things that we want and that dream relationship with our specific person. And while we're doing the daily visualization or the daily scripting, the image of the third party just pops up into our mind. And even if we're not doing any stalking, so we're not checking our specific persons or that third party's social media accounts, we're not looking at what are they up to, what are they posting. Just that thought, just that knowing that there is another woman or another man that your specific person is spending time with, is sharing special moments with, and is building a future together with, is fucking distressing. It still gets to us even if we're trying to ignore it. It's still there, lingering in the back of our minds. And even if we're trying not to admit it to ourselves and to other people, we are still sometimes wondering, how long is the third party gonna be there for? Is our specific person ever gonna come back to us? Comparing ourselves, feeling like shit, wondering what does that third party have that we don't have? And it's these tiny moments of despair, tiny frustrations, small disappointments, holding on to past resentments that is creating that resistance and that is keeping that third party in place. And so even if my client had been changing the story about the third party and for a moment she had been feeling better about herself, which then caused that little bit of movement from her specific person where he came back in for a moment, where she had been telling herself that yes, the third party is a thing from the past and the third party has already found somebody better. Her mind was still sometimes consumed with the thoughts of the third party being there. And she was still triggered when she was thinking about her specific person not wanting to commit to her, but then spending so much time with another woman. Because after all, that should have been her. And this is why I'm always saying, just ignoring your circumstances and just focusing on yourself is not enough if you haven't done the quote unquote pre-work, which is really releasing that resistance. So inside my program, she was focusing on taking back her power so that that third party situation no longer bothered her at all, like mentally and emotionally. And she mentions here that she really enjoyed the hypnosis audio for dissolving unwanted flashbacks, which is basically a very powerful hypnosis audio for freeing yourself from any of those unwanted memories, like when you saw a post of your specific person together with the third party and this is the image that is always haunting you. This is the image that always pops into your mind, especially when you're visualizing your dream relationship with your specific person and sharing lovely moments together with him. And so for her, listening to that hypnosis audio and releasing those triggers and that resistance was the key for her to see a lot of movement with her specific person. Like that was when she started seeing consistent movement with her person. This was really a game changer for my client because now she could finally take her focus off of that third party. Because yes, the things that you no longer want to see in your reality, you have to starve them by not giving them any of your energy anymore. But until we work with the subconscious mind here and we start shifting things on a subconscious level, so that we're able to take our power back and not give any energy like mentally or emotionally to the third party anymore. We're still gonna keep the third party alive in our reality through our mind, like what we're constantly focusing on a day-to-day basis, even if the third party is just this tiny thought on the back of our minds. And we're also gonna keep the third party alive in our body through our emotions, through those icky negative feelings that we have not processed. Since this client had already worked on her self-concept so much that she already felt amazing, she saw her worth and her value, she felt more than good enough, she did not have so much to change there. But what she really identified was that there was this fear of commitment. She was scared of her specific person committing to her, like even if consciously, yes, she wanted her specific person to commit to her. Like that was the one and only thing she wanted. But unconsciously, there was this fear of commitment that was playing out, that was sabotaging her success. Because on a subconscious level, she was holding on to a belief that when she gets the commitment, something bad is gonna happen. And so through the hypnosis audio for releasing fears, she was releasing this fear on a subconscious level. And she was communicating with her brain that it is safe to get the commitment. And it didn't take long after this that her specific person came back in again. And then she started seeing this consistent movement with him, but obviously she was still focusing on herself on a day-to-day basis. She was still pouring all of that energy, all of that love and attention into herself. And so when she started seeing more and more movement with her specific person, there was still a period of time where her specific person would talk about the third party, because the third party had like reached out to him and he wasn't so sure whether he should give the third party a chance or he should choose her. But she just kept on taking her attention away from the third party and completely put it onto herself. And when she had these small moments of doubt and fear and she was like, is it ever gonna happen? Is he ever gonna fully commit to her so that there is no other person, like there is no third party? She was releasing those triggers and she was just regulating her nervous system, making sure that she felt as relaxed and as grounded as she possibly could. Because it's really these moments where you show yourself, I got this, I am stronger than this, and I am the most powerful person in my reality, and I can have anything I want no matter what circumstances. It's really these moments that make you not only a better manifester, but also make you so much stronger. And she was just so committed to herself. She was committing to showing up as the best version of herself, and she was committing to her best life yet. Like she didn't care what her specific person was doing. She wasn't sitting around waiting whether he was gonna choose her or the other woman. And within a month after this, after just consistently being committed to herself, which I mean, still up until today, she is committed to herself, but that is when her specific person came back and he came back in fully. That is when he was like, you know what? I'm gonna give us a chance, like scrap the third party. You're all I want. If you enjoyed me sharing this success story in a podcast episode, please just let me know so that I know that you want more of this. And as always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your love and see you in the next episode.